Good morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. Today we are playing with a donation deck list from Carl J, who also donated back at the beginning of December to see a red-green Stax deck on stream. And I played it and it went okay, but the deck list had a couple of hiccups, and so the donor has donated yet again in order to give this deck another shot and see how the improvements are doing it. So essentially, we are a Stax deck that is looking to lock our opponent out via things like Trinisphere or Chalice of the Void, and then supplement it with land destruction like Wasteland and Ghost Quarter. We have everyone's favorite Crucible of Worlds snake, Ramunap Excavator, who is not technically a snake, it's a Naga cleric, but you know, we're going to give it the pass. And that lets us recur these lands from the graveyard, as well as things like City of Traders. When you take away the downside of that card, it ends up being pretty powerful. So, why are we a two-color deck? This is a really important question to ask, and I'm going to showcase this in both of my next two videos. When you are playing a multicolor Ancient Tomb list, your mana gets considerably worse, but you gain outs to things that are normally problematic. If we were playing a mono-green version of this deck list, we really wouldn't have access to removal. And so early fast starts from a deck like Delver can be very problematic. And so the red in this deck offers us a recurring removal spell, as well as a handful of very potent sideboard cards. Most of the time, when a Chandra Awakened Inferno hits the table, you win that game. If you don't, it's because your opponent had an Oko. Or an Uro. Those cards are good. Okay. Now, as far as my favorite card in this deck, it is Titania, Protector of Argoth, which, when this enters the battlefield, you return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield, and whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. So, this card has some really cool combos in this deck. You can destroy your own lands via Smokestack, and then immediately get a 5/3 elemental value for your trouble, which means that you don't necessarily have to go and, like, lose a permanent each turn. You're actually just breaking even while your opponent is in the abyss. And that's pretty strong. This is an awesome finisher, which we can get off of Green Sun's Zenith, and we do have 4 of those in this deck list. For the folks on the YouTube end, please let me know if you like this view that shows all of the individual cards, or if you prefer a view that looks more like this, where everything is sorted into piles. And normally I would go and drag everything out so it would look more like this, and I would zoom in on them so that they're larger. But some people have given me some feedback that they want to see deck lists in the other fashion, and I just want to know what you think. And YouTube folks, while you're down there in the comment section, if you want to hit that like and subscribe button, would be clutch. Trying to get to 3,000 followers would be awesome. All right, let's go into round 1 and see how this deck list performs, and maybe at some point today we can cast an Arlen Chord, which would be sick. So for round 1, our first opening hand has no lands, so we're gonna have to mulligan this one. Whereas this hand is sick, and I will be playing it. It is really hard to tell what I should be putting back here. I think I'm gonna go with Forest. There's some worlds where I just want to put back Mox Diamond instead, but I really want to throw Mox Diamond, use Mox Diamond to put Taiga into the graveyard so I can recur it with Ramunap Excavator. Oh, oh yeah. I love it. That's actually, like, so fucking good against Chalice of the Void, though. Holy shit. Like, I'm still gonna cast it, But that's not the best for me. So in case you're not familiar with this card, you can exile an instant or sorcery you control to put 2+1/+1 counters on it. So my opponent is just going to exile their own spells rather than let them get countered by Chalice of the Void. And they are just going to fucking crush me with this Niv Magus Elemental, which is already out of Punishing Fire range, by the way. Oh, we're dead. We're so dead. Send help. Send help. I guess theoretically I can draw a Soul Land and play Ensnaring Bridge, and my opponent will grow their Niv Magus Elemental one more time. God, I am being so savaged right now. This is disgusting. Like, I am literally dead next turn if I don't draw a Soul Land. Not figuratively dead, literally dead. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and Wasteland ourselves. Yes, I would like to do that. And then we'll concede. What a start to a day. Alright, normally Chalice of the Void is disgusting against these decks, but I might end up boarding it out here. I probably want... I probably want the Pyroblasts to answer those things, and Delvers as well, and maybe Sprite Dragons. And what if this deck has Cloud of the Dominus too? Just like throwing it out there. I don't know that I get to play Chalice of the Void in Tronosphere, which is really awkward. I can maybe Chalice on the play. What if on the draw, I just add in a couple of lands and one more... Sorry, what if on the play, I play Chalice of the Void and I play the Blast Zones, and then on the draw, I cut the Chalices for Pyroblasts and one other threat? That seems reasonable. What do I think about the state of Modern right now? I almost exclusively play Legacy. I dabble in other formats, but I'm primarily a Legacy content producer, so I don't have strong thoughts on the state of Modern right now that are my own, but I've heard that it's kind of an Uro mess. And a lot of the people I know who play Modern aren't particularly happy with it. Let me just confirm that I have a Dryad Arbor. I'm like 90% sure. Yeah. Once every 3 to 6 months, I decide to try Modern again to see if, like, a Death and Taxes style deck is playable. And Days is so good, but I don't think I get to play around it. Like, I think that Vintage is in a really great place. That is the Cloud of the Dominus deck! I was right! that is going to get out of fucking control quickly. Which is sad, because, like, I have a lot of cool things going on here that aren't quite gonna work out yet. Rough. Pitching another Cloud of the Dominus. I love it. Yeah, so in my video that I made yesterday, my, like, top 10 legacy deck list to try video, I pulled up a Cloud of the Dominus Delver deck. Peter Vanderham has been messing around with one, based on the list of an Italian player whose name I am currently forgetting. I think I need to attack. No. No, this is fine. A green sun is good. I am totally happy with that. I think I want persistent mana sources in play. I'm very much in love with this Delver deck. Shit. All right. Well. So I can theoretically cast one of these for x equals 4. But x equals 4... It really needs to be x equals 5. That gets me my Titania, and that gives me a realistic chance of winning this game. Can I wait that turn? I can probably wait that turn. Yikes! Is it gonna be good for my opponent to have all of those cards? It seems like the answer is yes. Alright. This is it. This is the moment where if my opponent has a removal spell, or sorry, a counter spell, I get ruined. And if they don't, I have a real chance. Oh no. Oh, don't hardcast a Daze. Oh, thank God. Alright. So I can pick up Titania here. And then every turn from here on out, I can Ghost Quarter them and pick up a 5/3. Dismember! Thank you very much for following. Oh, that's disgusting. Opponent's deck list is good. So now they get back a Ponder. I'm stuck on 2 lands. Oh god, another whale. I am dead in 2 turns. With more or less no recourse. Like, I can play Titania next turn and make one 5/3 elemental immediately by... No, I can't do that. Yeah. I am dead. And those things are gonna survive Punishing Fire, too. GG, opponent. I was not prepared to answer this. What do you mean, let's pretend this match didn't happen? This match was awesome. Like, I have mad respect for what my opponent was doing. I am on the draw for round 2. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep this hand. This hand doesn't exactly do anything yet, but it's pretty close to doing something cool. I could have a very long discussion about how to sequence this turn and which lands to throw away here and which lands to put into play. I'm going to do the one that allows me to probably make the most consistent land drops. Take my value pre-combat. I don't have a good read for what my opponent is doing yet. But it feels sort of like they might be a combo deck. If they, like... They didn't counter any of my stuff. They didn't cast a cantrip. They didn't remove one of my creatures. Oh, is it just Icefang Coatl Cycle? Okay. That's fine. A Ghost Quarter would be sick. But I think if my opponent just does something like plays an Oko in this turn cycle... Oh, good. Punishing Fire? Not Punishing Fire, but a pretty sick card, which I can actually cast this turn. Let's make the magic happen. Boo! Alright, my attacks aren't really good. I want to be able to continuously make land drops from my graveyard while thinning my deck. I am in really bad shape if my opponent has, like, oh god. Alright, I'm gonna F6. So, we likely die this turn. So, my opponent is going to Cavern Harpy and cycle this Uro. So, the Uro gains them 3 life each time it enters play, right? And it also allows them to put lands into play. And Cavern Harpy, when it enters play, you bounce the Uro. And for 1 life, you then get to go and repeat this cycle. Well, you are gaining life each time that this cycle happens. What is this? Can't be blocked. When it leaves the battlefield, it deals X damage to target player and you lose X life, where X is its power. Oh, this is neat. I haven't seen this loop before. So now each time my opponent cycles this, they deal 2 to me, and they don't actually lose any life in doing it. So I'm going to go ahead and concede to that. They've demonstrated that they can kill me. I'm not going to make my opponent click through all of that, but that's super sweet. We've played against 2 decks in a row where we have just, like, encountered cool things. Furnace is great. Chalice of the Void, not so great. Aeroblast, probably playable. Alright. I don't want these. I want this. I want these. And I probably should be considering just, like, other large creatures and this board wipe. I don't think Ensnaring Bridge is good. I think that my opponent is going to win not through combat a good portion of the time. And that means that I could bring in 3 of these fair cards or maybe a Blast Zone. Protection from blue is good. Let's bring in this, and you know what? Like, I want to cast this card, so let's bring it in. That's how we justify sideboarding, right? Does this hand actually do anything? It doesn't look like this hand does anything. I think I'm gonna mulligan this one. Like, my opponent has a bunch of basic lands, and I don't really have a plan here. Ah! Speaking of no plan. Okay, this hand is good. I'll keep this. I will pitch the Dryad Arbor and the Pyroblast. Please, sir, can I have a functional magic hand? No. I don't know who the sir is in this scenario. I don't know that I envision Magic Online as a dude so much as a cold, ruthless machine with bugs. Oh, this is sick. This is so sick. This Trinisphere can't really be like Abrupt Decayed or anything. Begin the ghost quartering. You don't have Death Touch right now. Basic Swamp, what Reflector card? Is that the backside of the God thing? Same question, I still don't know what you're talking about. Alright, so my Turnosphere has gotten destroyed. I can do a green sun for x equals 2. I really want to do one for x equals 3. Because getting this sucker into play is disgusting. um... Maybe I just cast this for a Dryad Arbor, as awkward as that sounds. Because that lets me Ghost Quarter next... Or sorry, that lets me Ghost Quarter next turn while also doing Shifting Ceratops. Okay, I'll check out that link in between games. Aha! Rude. Well, let's go. Let's continue the plan. So many basics. I'm just going to hold back my Reclamation Sage to block with. I'm not planning on winning this game via damage. Oh, the Reflector card is the thing that combos with Griffin. Oh god, I'm so dead. Yeah, I will probably play that. It clicked when I noticed that that was Jarvis's status. I should just always yield to these triggers. I don't want to concede just yet because my opponent does have to find something that kills me. But it's pretty likely that I'm dead. Yeah, so like the way I win this game is that like I kill my opponent with a Klothys trigger because they just don't find their win conditions, or like they spend too much time fetching and whatnot. But I'm dead most of the time here. I also can't F6 because I want to play this Klothys without showing it to them. The second Alurin was just like backbreaking. Well, we're going to cast this Klothys for free off of their Alurin. I guess somewhat awkwardly, there's also a world where I should have considered putting this in right away before my opponent had more opportunities to draw towards Force of Will. Cavern Harpy. Cavern Harpy is the name of this monstrosity. My death. My death is probably imminent. We lost the first round in spectacular fashion to a Cloud of the Dominus Delver deck that just, like, ruined us, and it was not close. We are likely to lose this round to Alurin, but they haven't found a way to kill me yet. Okay. Now they can just, like, draw the rest of their deck, and I know that they have a win condition that beats me from here, so I will go ahead and concede to this to save my opponent some time in clicking. We're starting off round 3 with an okay hand. I'm comfortable keeping this. I really am kind of going to need Ramunap Excavator to resolve, though, if I'm being honest. The land untaps itself. So, like, you tap the Manascape Refractor that has turned into a Griffin, and so it taps to untap itself, and it gets one bigger each time. So I'm going to leave a fetch land in play. So we're probably playing against Espervile. So we would like to finish this game somewhat quickly. I'm not going to beat my opponent's endgame inevitability with this deck most of the time. And my cards like Ensnaring Bridge aren't going to be particularly good either, because my opponent is pretty good at interacting. Wasteland is a hot pickup, though. So this isn't perfect because my opponent has an Ether Vial in play already. So they can, like, still do spells. But, like, Esper Vial is very notorious for having a bad mana base, and we are going to be exploiting that this game. My Rex Sage effect in the main deck? No, it's in the sideboard, unfortunately. Next turn I want to be able to Green Sun for Titania, so I'm not going to cast it this turn. I'm also not going to attack with either one of my creatures. The attack is probably safe with Ramunap Excavator, but I would much rather have something back that can block a small creature from attacking in. Rager, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. Oh, Mox Diamond is sick. That means that I can cast Green Sun. Oop. Okay, I do also need to play this in order to get Titania. That's annoying. So now my opponent can get Soul Herder, or maybe a removal spell from my Ramunap Excavator. Okay, yeah, they're choosing a removal spell for the Ramunap Excavator. Yeah, not having a green Sunnable answer to Aether Vial in game 1 here is a little rough. Does this actually do anything right now? Doesn't really do anything right now. It can give me a Grove of the Burn Willows, which might be good later. I think this Ensnaring Bridge really sucks for me. Like, I don't want to be playing this card, because I think playing this card favors my opponent in the, like, long term. But in the short term, I am very much worried about just getting aggroed out. And so I think I need to play it. Also, like, damn, my opponent has drawn well. Is what we're doing? Is there any world in which this whole smokestack thing is actually good for me? Doesn't really seem like it. My opponent gets sick value. Like, they can sack a Strix, then a Strix, then a Recruiter or a Skyclave, and I'm sacrificing permanents that actually matter. I think I'm going to pack this one in. I think this is the point where I probably lose. And Losing against Espervile is not really fun. No, like, the Titania in play is not going to be better than Baleful Strix, plus Baleful Strix, plus multiple turns of Soul Herder action. I think I'm going to do a quality of life thing and just pack in the towel there. So the Chalice of the Voids and Trinispheres and Ensnaring Bridges are not good. I don't know that I'm going to have 10 cards that I can bring in. So I want this stuff. I want these. And then if I want to take out all of this stuff, I need to bring in 4 of these 5. Both of these are pretty eh. Yeah, Blast Zone on 3 is a nice out to have, especially if I can recur that Blast Zone to clean up anything else. Hey. This hand isn't really good. I don't know that I get to throw it back, but this hand is not good. I'm going to hope that playing a Lothus on turn 2 and then having double Pyroblast for whatever nonsense my opponent does is good. Because if it's not, I have nothing left with this hand. Like, an issue right now, though, is that there's one card in graveyard, it's a land, and I don't have something good to play. I don't even know that Smokestack is currently playable, since my opponent has an Ether Vial in play already, and they're likely to play some 2-drop. Alright. I can play a Smokestack, I can protect it against a piece of counter magic if I need to, and if it resolves, I'll Pyroblast Meddling Mage so that they can't sacrifice that. But this situation favors my opponent, I think, pretty handily. I guess I should have waited on the Pyroblast. I don't have a counter on Smokestack yet. That was a small error on my end. Alright, so now I have nothing left. So I think we're going to be dead. if I answered this Ether Vial and I got to slow down my opponent, that would be great. Like, they don't have access to black mana, for example, because, like, they're trying to be a 3-color Wasteland deck, which is sus. We have a bunch of cards with situational timing, and that sometimes require other things to be good. That's nice. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. This can be my 5th mana, so I can cast a Green Sun for X equals 4 or X equals 3. I think I want to be casting for X equals 3 to pick up Rex Sage. Really awkward if they have Flicker Wisp. But I think that's the most important thing here. Well, that's also pretty disastrous, if I'm being honest. Now we're kind of at the point where we have nothing again. Red Shedim, thank you very much for following. Hope you're enjoying the content. Okay, our opponent found black mana. Go on. Oh, nope. Oh, well, glad you got to catch me live for a change. I am live every Saturday morning during approximately this time slot, so I'll be around. This ooze kind of sucks. There's nothing fun in the graveyard to eat. I don't think I want to attack. Because I want to be able to block one of these on the backswing and get a token. Sun Punishing Fire. Although, I don't know. Maybe they can't reasonably block with any of those. Alright, I'm gonna lose to that Soul Herder, I think. No creatures in there to eat. I'll eat a Brainstorm. Maybe that matters for some reason. Yeah, our cards that mattered have been answered. And now my opponent just gets to do their thing. They create the larger creature with Soul Herder. And then anything relevant that I do get outside of maybe Titania can't be put into play. Yeah, I just play this, it gets exiled. Are we done? Feels kind of like we're done. They haven't started attacking yet. I guess I can wait a turn cycle. Yeah, we're not literally dead, but I think we're realistically dead. This is one of those times where I start thinking about entertainment value, and it's like, do I just scoop? Because, like, I lose as soon as they draw something relevant that they can start blinking with Soul Herder. Yeah, like, I'll take another draw step, and then I probably just lose to that. Although now I can consider playing out a creature because it makes my opponent, like, blink something else rather than the Baleful Strix. Um, that's a Titania. That's one of the few things that actually matters in my deck currently. Alright. Let's play out this. And then I can maybe rip a land. Alright, that's just gonna kill my Dryad Arbor. Alright, now that my best in-hand out has been eliminated, I'm gonna go ahead and just pack this one in. Okay, we are on the play. I will go ahead and keep this hand. This hand goes wrong a lot of different ways. But if it works, this hand is very good. So we Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland, City of Traders, and play Ramunap Excavator. And then we theoretically have a Wasteland soft locked on our opponent starting on turn 2. However, if the Ramunap is countered or removed, things get a little bit dicey. And in order to play the Ramunap, I do have to go ahead and just show the Wasteland, so like my opponent can put together the puzzle from turn 1. Okay, I think we lose this one. Yeah, now my City of Traders is a liability. I don't have green. I don't have access to red. My Ensnaring Bridge is probably a dead card versus Snow-Covered Island. Not 100% true, but it's likely to be true. Like, we're probably playing against a snow deck. There is a world where we're just playing against a Delver deck or something, but... Ooh! Alright. Maybe Bridge will be okay. The City of Traders is exceptionally awkward on current board. Because it's very good in play, it doesn't cost me life. But If I'm holding it in play, then I'm not playing lands, which means that I'm not working towards an Ensnaring Bridge-based lockout. That helps to mitigate some of the life loss. I would like to play you. What? I only get one land drop a turn? How sad. Um, this incidental life gain is sick. Notably, this also lives through Lightning Bolt. So this is probably sticking around the rest of this game, or very close to it. Wonder what my opponent is thinking about. I figured it out. It's the decision of whether or not they need to brainstorm now, or whether or not they can wait a turn cycle. Rich Cali put out a really good article about brainstorm in the last week or so that I highly recommend, talking about the heuristics of that card and how things have changed in the last year or so. And always yield to that. I will go ahead and do this now. Just make my attack ever so slightly safer. I think it's a safe attack no matter what, but what I do next turn will be kind of interesting, because I don't really want an Ancient Tomb in play long term, because like it is a threat on my life total. But it allows me to play the Ensnaring Bridge around days and makes it easier for me to empty cards out of my hand. I'll have to think about what I'm doing with that. Oh, not a Delver deck. I repeat, not a Delver deck. Warning. Warning. Danger. Alright, I definitely don't want to be playing Ensnaring Bridge, but unfortunately my attacks have gotten worse. I need to repeatedly make attacks like this because they represent things like Punishing Fire killing the Painter's Servant. They have called. Yeah, they might think I'm a mono green deck right now. Um, and I think I just pass here. I am going to lose to the combo instantly. I have basically no recourse against it. Alright, so they are Rug, so there might be some like Oko or Uro nonsense in there. I like Smokestack. Good with that. No point in making the attack this turn. My opponent like knows that I didn't have anything last turn. And so that hasn't changed. course, they're doing a very weird thing here of giving my opponent extra information, but it's effectively drawn me 2 cards already, so that's fine. Bit of an interesting brainstorm timing there. That was not a high-value brainstorm. But maybe they don't have another land in hand, and so, like, if they find... Yeah, there's some scenarios where that's right, where, like, my opponent is trying to find the grindstone, and they don't have another land, so they don't have the opportunity to brainstorm plus play plus activate in the same turn cycle. It might be fine. Oh, nice. If this gets countered, I just have another one. Yeah, that's fine. I will try again next turn. Alright, I am very much not going to want that Mox Diamond. Alright. Unfortunate. But, like, opponent has to have something if they're not killing me, right? Like, it's only fair. Oh, shit. Oh well. Sorry, I spaced out for a second there. I didn't mean to draw that card, obviously. That was a very bad misplay. I was thinking about sideboarding already, if I'm being honest. This is a problem. The Trinisphere is okay against it. Hyperlink, thank you very much for your support. Varus, we haven't done much of anything. It has been a rough league. Oh, Trinisphere is back. Fucking how? Add Trinisphere on top, fetch Trinisphere on top. Have Ancient Tomb on top, fetch Ancient Tomb on top. Okay. So it really sucks to be trying to play an ensnaring bridge game against Pater. They have a combo kill that doesn't involve combat that instantly kills me. This is not where we want to be. All right, Green Sun's cool. That can get a Clothis, and that's like theoretically the card that allows me to win through ensnaring bridge. Oh, cool. Mm, this might actually be good for me. It'll take some finesse. But there's some worlds where I get like a wasteland off the top after casting a green sun, and it's just disgustingly good. I don't have anything like a questing beast, right? Nope. X is currently 4. Make X 5. Done. Cast it. See if we get savaged by a counterspell. My opponent can fetch and then get something cool. Yeah, I mean, come on. Everyone knows that if you have any deck, it just gets better by adding Oko and Dreadhorde Arcanist to it. All right, we're probably effectively dead now. Losing that there is a huge blow. Yeah, but bridge on top again isn't exactly good. Am I holding this bridge back to block and kill Dreadhorde Arcanist in combat? I think I am. This thing can't attack and start cantripping, or I just probably die most of the time. I mean, I'm leaving them with an unchecked Oko, which is also heinous. I'm gonna go ahead and wasteland them. That way they can't double spell next turn. Alright, so my opponent is going to bolt my Ensnaring Bridge this turn. That costs them their 3 mana. I can block and take no damage. Then I play an Ensnaring Bridge off the top, which becomes an Elk, and this cycle repeats. My Titania is now in my graveyard, so it becomes very hard for me to actually win this game. And also, at any time, I'm just dead to my opponent drawing Grindstone. Just actual, factual dead. I think I've lost like 10 viewers since the beginning of this round. Oh god, please, opponent. Like, there's a Trinisphere in play. Like, you have a land, you play a spell. If you don't, you probably just make a food. And then start killing me. Like, this Courser has sat in play and hasn't really done anything that contributes to me actually winning the game. It's just helped me make some land drops. I guess there's a world where you elk the Trinisphere, but Oko plus pile of food seems good. Hey, it's a Punishing Fire! Also, just saying, Oko's swap mode. Also, probably pretty good. Slade FTW, thank you very much for following. Yeah, I walked airplane. Trinisphere is feeling worse and worse every day. For sure. So my opponent has another Lightning Bolt in the graveyard. That kills Ensnaring Bridge. Yeah, singular cards that resolve are just too good at winning games in Legacy right now. Oh, Chalice of the Void, perfect timing. We did it, chat! We killed Dreadhorde Arcanist! Oh yeah, I played a lot of Smash. I know who Hungrybox is. I played... Well, first I played Brawl competitively, and then I played Melee competitively, and I still play Melee a bit from time to time. Uh, well, I knew this was coming. All right, I'm done. I'm done. We're not literally dead, but we're buried. I'm just never going to Punishing Fire my way out of that pile of cards. All right. Those need to go. Honestly, all of the colorless cards in our deck seem pretty bad. I probably have to keep Smokestack. All right. 3, 4, 5, and then 5 of these remaining cards. I want Oof. I want Sage. I want this bullshit. I want a Planeswalker. And we'll take the Shifting Ceratops over the Thrun. Is Thrun better than anything else over there? Over here, I guess. Ramming up Excavator is Still good with Ghost Quarter. Elvish Reclaimer can tutor for Blast Zone. Yeah, I can agree. Throne's better than a third Smokestack. Smokestack is not super appealing here. Uh, do you feel my pain? Like, this is the most painful hand ever to try and recur Punishing Fire, and Punishing Fire doesn't kill Dreadhorde Arcanist and Painter in one cycle. Not crazy, right? Painter's a 1/3. Painter's a 1/3. Like, if my opponent plays a turn through 2/1/3, I can Ancient Tomb, Grove, Taiga, and just double Punishing Fire from hand. They have Oko. Of course I'm scared about my life total. Classic. Alright. I will keep this on 5. I have to figure out how I'm playing it. Reminap Wasteland is either amazing or unplayable depending on what their hand looks like. Thank you, Walked Airplane. I've spent a lot of time mucking with settings and trying to increase things like audio quality and image quality. I think I am pitching the Mox because I probably get Collector Oof with Green Sun. On turn 2. But there's also a world where you try to play this out differently to assemble a Wasteland lock early. The opponent just showed so many basic lands, though, that I don't know that that's good. That potentially changes things. So next turn I could Green Sun for X equals 4. I have a 4-drop thing in sideboard that's just nuts. I can provide a lot of pressure or an annoying threat. That's awkward. Alright. Okay. So now I'm gonna lose the game. I think on this. Yeah, no other green mana. I think I lose the game more or less on the spot if this Green Sun doesn't resolve. I can draw another green mana next turn and maybe things are okay, but I think this is the end. Yep, Walked Airplane. That's Legacy right now. It's great. It's a good thing Dreadhorde Arcanist only fits into one deck. Like, it's really good that that card's good in Delver and nowhere else. Like, it's not playable in Painter, or Infect, or Doomsday. Not at all. Certainly not playable in a Snow deck either. Yeah. So in the last year or so, I've made a lot of really good called shots, but I've also missed some. And Dreadhorde Arcanist was one of the ones that I called, and I'm like, this is Red Bob. This card is really good. This card is going to see a lot of Legacy play. I missed Oko. Just totally underestimated the power level of that card. I thought that card was trash. And then I saw it in practice. I'm so dead. Like, I can play another turn or two of this game, but my opponent gets to draw 2 extra cards a turn, hit me for 2 while I have double Ancient Tomb in play. I'm not winning this. I will take 1 draw step. It probably has to be another Green Sun. Like, there's just a Lightning Bolt in graveyard still. Like, most of my smaller threats are not good. And now I can die to the combo at any point. Like, I can Pyroblast that away so I don't die to the combo, and then I'm still taking 2. Like, even just my opponent attacking me for 3 twice probably kills me. For the final round, I think we have a relatively strong opening hand. I do get to play Chalice on 1, and then follow that up with probably Clothis immediately, but maybe Courser. Kind of depends on what happens. I'm Grifty. I've played a decent amount of that deck. I've played that in a couple of tournaments. Yes, I remember Ozymandias. I lost to one of them in round 2 of one of the big events. I'm eating a Wendy's chicken sandwich after this. That's my plan. I don't think I'm going to play around a days off of Prismatic Vista. I also don't think that I want to cast the Green Sun for 1 this turn. I want to have flexibility with my lines in future turns. Yeah, so round 2 of that SCG con, where we were playing in like the stadium portion, which was like borderline literally freezing. Like, I had a hoodie on and was very actively cold. Like, some people were shivering. Oh, hell yeah. Our Chalice of the Void is pretty good until they get Destiny Spinner. Our Ghost Quarter is also just sick. Ghost Quarter Recursion is probably how I win this. I think I play patiently, though, rather than just try to jam towards that as quickly as possible. I think it's okay to discard this for now. I want to have access to green and green-red. And in case something goes wrong, I want to have this in play. So Chalice on 2 shuts off Destiny Spinner, which means the 1 and 2 drops are not going to get into play easily. My opponent can still go land Green Sun, get Destiny Spinner, and like get me. But outside of that, we should be pretty good. So notably, this is not my opponent making a mistake. This is my opponent choosing to turn a dead card into a live card by cycling it. Enchantress is a sick deck and probably way better than people give it credit for. Alright. So now, I will cast a Green Sun for X equals 3. And this will get me a Ramunap Excavator. And we will start the destruction. I don't know, I think I disagree with you, because the whole reason that Enchantress is playable is because it's so hard for people to interact with enchantments in game 1. Like, I've played a lot of leagues with Enchantress over the years. It tends to get out of control relatively quickly. It's allowed to play extremely powerful cards in game 1 that can often win the game on their own. A Carpet of Flowers, a Rest in Peace, or something of that nature can often just ruin an opponent. And, like, Destiny Spinner is that deck's Allosaurus Shepherd. Where it makes most of your spells uncounterable, which is disgusting. And you also get a land that can tap for like 15. Is it one of the best choices in the format? No, probably not. You should probably just be playing 2019, 2020 cards that win the game on their own. But I think it is a great fringe choice, and it was actually one of the ones that I recommended in my top 10 video. That one snuck in the list at number 10. It's a very fun deck. That's something that it really, really has going for it. I think I'm going to end up playing Rex Sage. The ultimate on this can kill the Enchantresses. Blast Zone is disgusting. And I might want to consider a hard-hitting creature that I can get off of Green Sun, or even Collector Oof. I didn't get to see very much of my opponent's deck. I know that they are a white version, and they might have the Rest in Peace combo kill, and that's something that I can potentially play around. I think I'm probably going to bring this in. Punishing Fire is really weak against this deck. Most of the time I'm not going to have a target, or if there is a target, it's going to be hard to kill with Punishing Fire, because it's going to have more than 2 toughness, things like Setessan Champion and Destiny Spinner. Honestly, I don't think I get to smokestack my Enchantress opponent out. Like, they're going to have so many permanents most of the time if they are doing their thing. What about Bridge, though? Bridge is awkward. Bridge keeps me from getting killed by, like, Emrakul or Destiny Spinner, but a lot of times I'm going to trip over it, and I'm really not going to want to play it. But I might still need access to it. I'm going to bring in a Ceratops here. This hand is awkward. This is not an objectively powerful hand. Is this good enough on 6 to keep? It's turn 2 Tireless Tracker, and I get a redraw. Any hand with the Chalice of the Void is probably better than this hand. Yeah. This hand has some problems. Fuck it, hand's great. Let's go. I am hoping that my opponent doesn't put an Enchantress effect into play this turn. Because if they don't get an Enchantress effect into play this turn, I can Ghost Quarter this land, and they're probably Wolf. Oh, holy shit! We did it! We did it, chat! I, like, actually feel bad for that. Yep. Alright. Let's get this into a more meaningful situation for a debrief. As far as a debrief for this league goes, I think today brought up a couple of different issues with this deck. Number one is that this is a multicolored, like, stompy lock deck. And when you're doing that, you often run into situations where your mana doesn't quite work, because you're really playing a 3-color deck. You're playing these colorless lands, which contribute to you casting Trinisphere and Chalice of the Void early. And then I'm playing red for removal, as well as some sideboard flexibility. And then green for, like, the cards that make the deck work. But some of them require green in particular, and I would add Scavenging Ooze into that category as well. And ultimately, we ran into a combination of tripping over our own cards, plus 2019-2020 cards just snowballing the games out of on their own in a way that we couldn't keep up with. We did not keep up with Oko and Dreadhorde Arcanist playing this deck. And most of our losses were O2s, where we didn't really execute a strong game plan. When I played this deck in December, we, like, did the thing a few times with smokestacks and slowly ground our opponent into the dust. But in this league, the colorless cards felt pretty terrible, and we ended up boarding out 10-ish cards in a lot of our rounds. And the replacement cards were kind of fine mid-rangey stuff, but overall this league felt pretty bad, and I don't know that with how much better deck building has gotten in the past month or month and a half, that something like this is going to stay competitive. Like, so many more decks are trying to cram in Oko or Dreadhorde Arcanist, or even some of the fairer decks have put in alternative combo-based win conditions. So some of the snow-ish decks, for example, now have a Hull Breacher Days Undoing combo in them as well. And today it didn't feel like the power level of my deck was acceptable. And, like, that's okay, that happens. But I don't know exactly where I would tell the donor where to take this deck moving forward, because it felt clunky today, and I don't know what to tell you. I enjoy Stompy style decks, but generally speaking, I think the Stompy style decks are in a bad situation currently. And when you tap out on one for Chalice of the Void, and then your opponent is playing some powerful singular snowballing haymaker like Oko or Uro, it doesn't matter that you shut off a third of their cards. They're still going to beat you a good portion of the time anyway. Tomorrow night, I'm going to try out another similar version of this deck in a different color. I'm going to be trying out a blue-green Dino Stompy deck, and I'm hoping not to see the same thing happen, but I'm a little bit worried that the same sort of thing is going to happen, where we run into the, like, 3-color mana base problem in a Stompy deck. We'll see if a different color makes this feel better, like maybe playing our own ridiculous overpowered 2019-2020 cards makes this feel better. I don't know. I might have to do a little bit of editing to this deck list before I go live with it. For the folks watching on the YouTube end, if you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing or leaving a comment if you have any thoughts. It helps out way more than you know. Unless you're a content creator, then you get it. I've seen a lot of growth on the channel, and I'm working towards 3,000 subs. If you're interested in getting your own deck list on the channel, the donation information is always in the video description, as is the deck list. Have a great rest of the day.